3, 2, 1, go.
So welcome to another crash course. Let's do this cute little alien dog that I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm going to keep it simple. Let's get to rock and rolling. So we'll get out of this. We'll go to Nomad. And here is a new scene. We have our grid, which I'll leave on for now, but I'm going to get rid of it. Let's get rid of the sphere too. So here's the sphere. We press this little scene button up here and we delete. Okay, so here's our tools. Gizmo is what we'll use a lot. Let's go ahead and go back to this little scene here and we'll add, and let's just add a, let's add a cylinder for now. We'll tap these three little dots here and then we have post subdivision. We'll put that to 2. You don't have to really know like what I'm doing. I'm just making like a little soft, like rounded cylinder. That's all it is. So I put the division down to 36 and post subdivision is to 2. And that's just something I do because it makes it like nice and round and it's easy. Okay, let's move it down a little bit. I'll be touching front. So this little snap cube here, this will tell you like which side is the front. So I'll just tap that. And let's use this green. We can bring it right down to this line so that the top of it is right even with the red line. And we'll bring the bottom part up too. Just like that. And if we want to make it bigger, you can use the gizmo, but there's a little hidden gizmo there that makes the gizmo pop up, and we use this big orange ring to make it a little bit bigger. So that's fine. We can use this little node to like squash it too, so maybe we'll squash it a little bit. Okay, so it's unvalidated. That's how we were able to do these 3 little dots and have all these other fancy tools. Don't worry too much about it, but validate and validation is one of those really confusing things. Don't be confused about it. Essentially, when you add a new shape, let me just validate this. So when you add any new shape here that you're going to work with, let's say a box, it just gives you a few other options that you can do before all the tools pop up and before it's like officially part of your scene. So anytime you get a shape, you can, do all these like special things to it, and you can change like how dense it is and how, you can change a bunch of stuff like that. You can make it into, something really interesting like that. And then when you validate, now it's like officially part of the scene. So that's all validation is. But you have to do it in order to get all of your nice tools over here. Now maybe we'll use this. I like these cute little, I like to make cute little boxes. I don't know why, but I really do. But I don't know if we'll use it, but you can hide stuff that if you're not sure, just go to the scene, go to the box and hide it. Okay, so this cylinder, let's rename it. So we'll just tap these 3 little dots and let's just rename it floor. Okay. Let's see, what do we do next? So let's bring in the reference image. So you can get this reference image for free on my Patreon, or maybe my website. Just go to my Patreon. I'll have it for free. So, and we'll name it Alien Pup. We'll name it Alien Pup. Hopefully I remember that. So we'll go to this little background here. We'll go to reference image. And here's where your reference images are. So you just tap on that. You can import. And I'm going to import. Oh, maybe I already have it here. Yeah, I don't need to import it because I already have it. But you just go to photos, and wherever you downloaded it, that's where just navigate there. And then you just tap on it and tap add and it will show up here. So I already have it, so I don't really need to import it. So there it is. And of course, if you want to move it around, just hit transform and then you can move it around if you want. So I think we'll put it, okay, where's the middle? I have to figure out where the middle is. So let's put it here. And then you tap on the screen again and we're back into the sculpting mode. Let's see. So I'm going to set this here. I'm going to do a few things because I like to make videos and I'm trying to make them more efficient. So like I'd really like them. I'm going to use this green line to like put it in the middle. That way like it'll always be like in the middle when I'm trying to make my videos. But here's what you can do. So you can set this nice and low. This is the platform. And then you can tap, actually let me move it up a little bit. Move it up to here. Yeah. So move it up to there. You can press this little camera and you can add the view. So let's rename it with this little pencil sign. I'll just rename it 1. And so now, you know, if you're moving things around once you're sculpting and you want to go back to that same view, you can just hit 1 and it goes right back there. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller as well. So we'll tap transform and I'm just going to make it a little smaller. Okay, so now we can start sculpting. Let's get rid of the grid. Since now we have this set, we don't need the grid anymore. I hate the grid. I forgot there's one last thing that I do. I don't like my sculpts to be white, so I just tap here, this little sun, and I change from lit PBR to matte cap. We'll have to go back to lit PBR when we color it, but for now we're not coloring it, we're just sculpting. Okay, so let's add the first shape. I think we can do this with a sphere, and we'll just kind of stretch it for the body. We'll make it really simple. Okay, so we'll tap on our scene and we'll add a sphere. And then we'll use our gizmo. We can use this little gizmo here. And then we can use the green arrow to move it up to about there. And we can go ahead and validate it. So let's name this. So let's take this sphere in the scene menu. Let's move it up. We'll just long press and move it up above the floor. And then we'll rename it Body Adi. So he's got like sort of a squarish, like a really soft squarish front part. So let's use our tools over here. I think I want to use move, and we'll make the move tool fairly big. It's really big, actually. I wonder if I need to shrink the size. Anyway, so we'll tap on the sphere, and you can see there's 2 dots. That's because we have symmetry on. So right now the symmetry is set to world. So just imagine there's a split right down the middle. So that's what the symmetry is picking up now. And of course, if it's right up and down the middle, this is the X symmetry. So I'm just going to touch on this really quickly, just so you kind of have an understanding. So if I tap this little symmetry tab, you can see that red line. So that's the symmetry. And if you, of course, if you were to turn that off and turn on another one, you can see that there's a green line here. That's actually the green line. That's actually a green line going across. And this one is actually a green line. What is this one doing actually? So this is up and down. The green is that way. I can't even think. Let me make it make sense. If I go to local and I do show line. Okay, yeah. So this is right across this way. X is right across this way. It can be very confusing, but yeah. But my little shortcut is just to go to symmetry, and you can turn this show line, and then you'll be able to see what is symmetrical. So let's turn that off. We'll go back to X. You see this line. You hit front. I'm actually going to go back to 1, and symmetry is on. Mask, 2 dots. See if we turn that off, then it's just 1. But if we turn it on, then it's both. So that's symmetry, easily in a nutshell. And I'm going to turn it back to world, just because. Why not? Okay, so symmetry is on. We're using move. It's quite big. So we just need to make this top part a little more squarish. And I need to silence my phone. Okay, so we can make it kind of squarish like this just by pulling up with the move tool. Now if we turn to one side, you can see that we actually need, and it needs to be a lot, the move tool I noticed is very small. Okay, so it looks like in the update, the models seem to be a little bit bigger, or the tools are a little bit smaller. We're on 1.90, so let's just shrink it. I'm gonna bring the grid back, and then I'm just gonna select both of these, the body and the floor, just make sure they're selected. You can use the gizmo, and then you can shrink them both. So I'm just gonna shrink them like this, and then I'm going to bring down so that's the top of the floor is right aligned with that red line. Perfect. So since we made everything smaller, I have to reset that camera view. Remember we had the camera view, because now it's a little bit too small. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Like, let's do this actually. Okay, so just like that, I think it's a good size. I'm going to hit front so it's perfectly facing us. And I think that looks good. And let's update this view. See this here? We're just going to press this little arrow and it will update. So now we're updated and we're good to go. So now let's try the move tool again. Oh, let's make sure we tap on the sphere. We'll try the move tool. And oh, it looks like you can only get that big. Oh, so I'm going to make it as big as I can. And on here, I'm just going to make this nice and squared, but softly squared. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's turn it to the side. Okay, and I'm just going to maybe stretch this a little bit. I'll stretch this up a little bit. And now we just need to bring in the back because it's a little, he's kind of like just very squarish. So I think something like this. So I want to drag out the back part. So I'm just kind of pushing it out really easy. Yeah, something like that. Pretty simple. I like it. The bottom is kind of flat, so you kind of have to pull this down a little bit and then push up a little bit on the bottom. But it's a good way to get used to the move tool. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to push this little part down so that the bottom is mostly flat. Okay, I'll make this a little bit smaller and try to just try to make the bottom as straight as you can. And I think something like that is good. I'm just going to push this middle part in a little bit. So let's go back to the front, and then I just want to square it off again. Just keep it nice and square. Okay, oh, this stupid grid. I forgot all about the grid. I hate the grid, if you didn't know. So I think that looks pretty good. If I turn here, I probably can make the top a little bit more flat, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Poke this out a little bit too. Okay, I think that's a good shape. I think it's matching the reference. The front kind of slopes down a smidge. So we want to give him that nice slope. Perfect. So now let's add his little legs and his little antennae. So an easy way to do this is to use mirror. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to do too. If you notice, this is kind of rounded. So you want to make sure that the bottom part is kind of squared off as well. Because, you know, it's 3D, so we have to pay attention to each side. Although symmetry makes it fairly easy. So that looks pretty good. It's nice and squared. And the body looks like it's evenly dispersed. Okay, so let's smooth it out. I like to smooth out everything because you can see how it's a little lumpy. See these kind of shadows? So it can easily get lumpy. Let me do a quick save. So you just tap on the folder, save, and this is going to be Alien Pup. This one's obviously going to go right on my Patreon for anyone. I try to make everything that's like printable. So I'll post the Nomad file and I'll post the STL. So hopefully this turns out good. Okay, so let's smooth it. We'll just use the smooth tool, fairly big, and we'll just smooth it out. Just get everything nice and smooth. Looks good. Looks good enough for now. So now we want to make these little leggies. So let's add. So we'll add sphere, and we'll use the gizmo. We'll move it up, shrink. We'll move it to one side like this, and then we'll shrink it. And let's turn it, and let's figure out where we want the base to go. So it looks like it's kind of coming off the front edge of his little body. So maybe something like this. We'll make it a little bit bigger. We can hit mirror, and then we'll hit validate. So we mirrored it so it's on the other side. But we'll keep it turned to this side. Let me go back to 1. And just for, for my video's sake, I'm just going to try to turn it, try to keep it in the middle here. And this is for my video, but I have to do it. So add view, and I'll add this as 2. So now I have that view as well. So now we just want to stretch these out to make his little legs. So we'll make sure we tap on the sphere. We'll use move. We can make it a little bit smaller. And then we can just pull this down a little bit. So I want it to kind of be a little bit of a slope. So maybe something like that. And you can also bring the top up. You can bring the top up so it's a little more natural. You can push this side out. And maybe I'll push this side up a bit. So something like that. I think I want it a little more flat on the sides. A little more flat. And also I want the bottom to appear more round. So I want to make sure that the bottom isn't going through the floor too much. But I think that looks pretty good. I like it. I'm going to stretch this part up towards the inside of that body. Yep, something like that looks good. And we can smooth it a little bit. Just be careful, because if you smooth too hard, it could change the shape. And the only other thing, I just want to make sure it has a nice slope. So I'm just using the move tool, and I'm just kind of pulling this out just to kind of try to match that nice perfect slope. See that? So that looks good. Let's go ahead and let's label this mirror. Let's label this legs, and this will be all the legs. So these are the front legs, and we can label them. So those are going to be the front legs, and then we're just going to clone this and make the back legs. So just tap on this and hit clone. Back legs. All right, so now we have two sets. They're in the same mirror, which is fine. We'll just use the gizmo. Let's go here. We'll slide this back. And maybe we'll make it, it might not even need to be a little smaller. I think something like that is good. It's actually perfect. And if you want, you can kind of adjust his back legs. You can adjust the top, maybe smush it in a little bit more. I think that looks good. Maybe I want his butt to be a little bit more pointed. And then the legs can be a little bit more in the body. Oh yeah, I like that. I think it looks cute. So I'm going to go back to my view. And that's perfect. So I'm going to do a quick save. So now let's make his little antennae. So this is one thing that's changed in the last updates. So we're going to use the tube tool. And we're going to use path. And we don't need snap. So I'm just going to turn it off. So one thing that's changed, let's look at the side view actually. So he has two little antennae. It looks like they come from here. So we'll tap down, drag up, lift off, and then we'll drag forward, and it doesn't do it anymore. So this is like, I don't know what really prompted this change. It seems like a useless change from something that's always been there. But now you want to drag it to the last spot and just add the nodes in the middle. You can add as many nodes as you need. So that's the only difference, is you can't keep dragging. Maybe I'll just get used to it, and maybe that'll be better in time. I have to just assume that the developer knows better than me. Okay, so that looks pretty good for an antennae. So we'll hit this little green dot, and now you see our little antennae. But let's make this round. So first we can mess with the shape of it. So right now, if you try this little orange node, it's just going to the whole thing's going to get bigger. But if you want to just control each orange node, you can add them by hitting radius. So now there's two, and there's one here. Boom, does that. And of course 3, then you can adjust all of them. That actually looks kind of cute. So now we're back to 2. Let's make this smaller, and maybe this a little bit bigger for a start. Let's see what it looks like if we make this a little bit bigger. I do kind of like that for some reason. So let's tap these 3 little dots. Remember, we didn't validate it, so we get these extra tools. So what we want to do in this window is uncheck this. So we'll uncheck this little tube topology, we'll change 30 to 4. And post subdivision, we'll just drag up to 2. And then we want to take the division Y, and we can just scroll that down, and it'll get rounder to maybe something like this, to 8. That looks pretty good. So let's see how much control we have over this. So let me go back to my view. Okay, that's pretty good. I want the end to be a little bit more round, so I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to bring this down even more. I'll bring this forward a little bit. And also, you can tap these little white nodes if you want it to be a little bit more of a hard edge. But that might be too hard, so I'm going to add, I'm just going to add 2 nodes here, so I can get a little bit more of a shape like in the drawing. Okay, I think I like that. So let's look at the front view. Okay, so maybe we'll pull those down a little bit. Maybe they're a little too high. We can use the gizmo. We can move them down a bit. And they seem like they need to be a little bit more together, maybe a little bit bigger, actually. A little bit closer, so we're just going to pull this closer. And we'll use the red ring to kind of rotate them back a bit. I think that works. So here's a few things to watch out for. Let me turn my light on because it looks like I'm just like sculpting in the dark. There's a few things to watch out for. They're not that dangerous, but I want to make sure that you know about them. So firstly, you tap on the scene menu. Remember we had the legs and we added that tube, so it went in the leg group. So just drag the tube and bring it out. And you can rename it antennae if you'd like. Okay, so now it's outside the antenna. So I like this, but I want two antennae, and I wanna like mirror them, and I want to be able to adjust them. Let's say we want one to be up and one to be down. So there's a few ways to do it. You can take this antennae and you can clone it like that, or you can mirror it, and then you go here to this antennae and you can validate and then do uninstance. So let's do uninstance. Yes. So now we have 2 antennae, but they still are yellow. So just in case, because that was a little confusing. So we have the tube here. Oh, let me go back to antennae. So we have our 1 antennae tube, right? And it's on, remember the symmetry thing? So we have it on one side. So if we mirror it, it's going to go over to this side. Because remember, we're using the mirror, so we're the x-axis that's confusing. But that's the default, so when you use mirror, if you're looking at the front, it's going to go on the opposite side. So now we have these 2, but if you go back, if you tap the tube, anything you do to one is going to happen to the other. But let's say you want them different. You want separate antennae. So what you do is you want to keep the antennae yellow. That way you have these nodes. But you can go to the mirror. The mirror is what's, giving you the other one. So you can validate the mirror, but we're not validating the antennae. So we're validating the mirror. So we hit validate. Usually join children just makes it one complete thing. So it would be like one mesh, and the one mesh would be both of them together. But we're not going to do join children. We're going to do uninstance. Uninstance means now we have two parts, and they're separate and they're not connected anymore. So that's uninstance. Just remember afterwards to change it back because it'll just stay on uninstance forever and ever. So we'll hit yes. So now we have this blue antennas with these 2 antennas. I don't know what antennas is. So now we have them both and they're both individual. So let's take this one and maybe we want to put it up a little bit. Just kind of switch it up. And maybe I want a little bit of like a bend in it too. So So yeah, something like that. I like it. I'll put a little bit of a bend in this one as well, just because the bend I think looks good, but still different. So now we have two different antennae, so it's not super symmetrical. Just want to switch it up. Okay, so now that we have these antennae the way that we like them, what I like to do is let's just take all of them and just join them for now. So now we have both antennae and we joined, and so that's one way to bring those antennae together. The cool thing about join is I can go here and I can go separate, and then I have them both again. And I can just join them again. Whoop. You don't want to join them when they're hidden. Where did it even go? Let's just go back. Join, join. So now we have the antennae together. And they're a little low poly. You can see that they got kind of like squares. They're not really that clean. Also, if you're noticing that your model is very squared or pixelated or just not smooth like mine, it's going to be here in the Materials tab. Go down to Smooth Shading. Auto for me is on. Yours might be off. If it's off, it'll look like this. So anytime you kind of see that, it's probably smooth shading. Okay, so they look pretty good. Let's go ahead and voxel remesh them. So this is the other way to bring things together, which is voxel remesh. And voxel remesh will, instead of joining things where you can separate them, voxel remesh is for life. That's for good. That's bringing things together. That's welding them, super gluing them, concrete together forever. But that's not the only use. You can also do a voxel remesh when you want to just like recalculate, and maybe you want these to be more dense so that they don't look so low poly and like kind of squarish. So we go to, where is it at? This little pyramid thing here. Just remember this icon changes depending on what you're on, so that can be confusing. But just remember it's right next to the scene menu. And you want to go to voxel remeshing, and the resolution is the important part. 160, 170 is usually like average. That makes it a bit strong, but still malleable, not super strong. So think of it as like clay. Like if you're holding clay and like, let's say it was really dense. Let's say the clay's been sitting out in the air for like 5 days. It's really dense and hard, and you can't really move it. You can't really like manipulate it. So that would be like 300 and up resolution. But let's say the clay is like pretty soft, you know, you got some water and then the clay is like, you can move it and you can rip it off and it's really easy. That would be like 140, you know. And if it's really like wet and almost falling apart, too difficult to like make anything, that would be like really low resolution. You know what I mean? So if I did the low resolution and I tried to smooth it, it would just kind of like melt. So let's do like maybe 170 or so. So we remesh it and we see these things. And this is because we went from like really low number to a really high number. And you can smooth it. So it will smooth. There's other ways that you can get it smoother. So I guess I should show you those. So right now it's 580. That's the number of vertices. That's very low. So we're on the antennae. Let's go ahead and just subdivide them. So we're just going to kind of multiply the size within the inside. This is going to be technical stuff. Let's just do it. So we'll go here. We'll go to multi-resolution. I'm not even that great at multi-resolution, but I do know subdivide. So I hit subdivide and this number goes from, bam. So now it's 2000 something. Notice those things went away. Perfect. We don't even really need to voxel remesh. Eventually we'll voxel remesh both of these and this and these. So we don't need to do it now. It looks good. 2,308. It's fine. Let's move on. I gotta eat dinner anyway, so we gotta get this alien pup finished. I wish I could kind of make these a little bit wider. I wish I would have like made these a little fatter. Okay, let's go, Dave. Keep eye on the prize. So I'm gonna do a quick save and let's add his eyes. So scene menu, add sphere. We'll use the gizmo. We'll move it up, over. Shrink it and let's turn it to the side now. I'm going to go to my little view. So now we'll move it over. I think the eyes, they're a little bit smaller. And I feel like they would be kind of towards the front, maybe around there. But they would definitely be in the face a little bit more. So maybe something like that, I think, works. We'll do it a little bit more in front. Because they're kind of on the, yeah, I think something like that is good. So I think that's great. And we can mirror it now with the eyes on the other side. It doesn't get any more easy than that. So we want to give him like, well, first, maybe we should voxel remesh it together first. I don't know. I'll tell you what, let's take this shape and let's lock it in with these antennae. So let's take the body and the antennae. I'm going to do a quick save. If Nomad's going to crash, it'll be when you're trying to voxel remesh. So just remember that if you're doing a lot and you're going to voxel remesh, just think save first, and you'll thank me for it. I don't keep autosave on. I hate autosave. So now we have those both selected. Boom. And I'm just going to use a shortcut. It's the same as voxel remesh. It's the same as where is it? Where is it? What are we doing here? If I select both of these, oh, you know what it is? It's because I forgot to validate these. See, that's what happens. So you got to validate them. So now we have these eyes. They're in a mirror because we mirrored them. So let's just validate the whole thing. We don't want to uninstance. Let's put back to join children. We want nice, cute little plump children. So we'll hit yes. Now we have our mirror. Let's rename it eyes so we don't forget, because I'll forget like a dum-dum. Antennae, body, and we want to voxel remesh them together. So it's the same as going here, voxel, and then remesh. Let's do 175. 180 feels like a good number. Let's do 180. I'm going to use the shortcut from now on, but it's the same. See, it's the same. But it's just easier for me to use the shortcut. So we remesh, it's going to merge them together. It's okay. Boom. Now they're one, it's one piece. See, it's one piece. You can take smooth out the bottom. Smooth out these, but just be careful again, because it's a little fragile, so you don't want to you don't want to smooth them too roughly, because you'll lose some of the shape that we worked on. So here's the body. We can smooth that a little bit if you want as well, but you don't really have to at this point. So let's do I'm going to show you a cool way to do eyelids. It's very easy. So we'll take these eyes. Here's the eyes here. Let's clone the eyes and let's rename these lids. Okay, so now the eyes are cloned and we'll name them lids. So one thing that we need, let's hide the regular eyes. So those are hidden. So now we're just seeing the lids. Let's take trim and let's trim. Well, I guess I have to show you. So we'll use the trim tool and we're going to use the rectangle here. This little rectangle. And let's just cut. It might not let me actually. Yeah. So let's go up and hit symmetry. So we need to turn symmetry off, because otherwise we're just cutting both instead of one. So now we're just going to cut that side with the rectangle. So now we just have one lid. So let's just rename this again, lid. And we're just going to work with this one lid. So let's turn the eyes back on and make sure that you're on the lid. Gizmo. So your gizmo's in a weird place. Pivot, center, pivot. That's going to center it on the lid where we need to be. So let's get in close to this eye and let's just make it bigger. See? We'll just make it a little bit bigger. Like this. You can hit X-ray. Oh, X-ray doesn't work on that. I was hoping that it would work. I was hoping that we could see through. But that's okay. So we made it a little bit bigger. That's all we needed to do. And now we're going to take split and the rectangle again. So now you can split it where you want the middle of the eyelids to be. So I'm going to make a little square right like this. Boom. So split right in the middle. So now we have lid split and we have mesh. See? So this is the low lid. So let's just name it low lid. Is it the low lid? Yeah. This mesh is the up lid. So we'll just rename it up lid. Just easy to remember. So now we have our two little lids. Let's go ahead and let's smooth them. We might have to voxel remesh, but let's see how it looks when we smooth them. Looks terrible. Perfect. So let's voxel remesh each of these. We just need to recalculate the vertices. So let's go to voxel and we'll remesh this at like 150. So we remesh it and then we can smooth it again, and you can see it's a much better, clean, smooth. Tap on the bottom one, we'll do the same thing. Voxel remesh at 150. I know this is a lot, but it won't be. It won't be later. So we'll remesh it. Smooth out that bottom lid. Nice, smooth lid. And yeah, so eventually we're gonna put this together with the body, so that'll be fine. So now what you can do is take your gizmo on both of these, and you can just kind of move them, and you just kind of make lids. It's like, it's always so fun to make lids. So we can open them like this, and sometimes, like, let's say we want to move it like directly, like diagonal, you can take the pivot and just like move it like this. Then you can hit pivot again, and then you can rotate it that way. So we'll do something like this, maybe. And you can just like position it wherever you want it, wherever it looks good. So you can work on that. Let's take a look. Maybe we want to open this one up a little bit. Let's do it the same way. Let's hit pivot and let's just like turn the pivot that way. Maybe line it up with the other one. And then we'll just open this eye up a little bit. But maybe we want to open like wide. Okay, I mean, I think that looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. And there's one little nagging thing. See how this is like, the slope is like going into that? So I'm going to take this eye and use the move tool, and I'm actually just going to pull it up a bit. Oop, here we go. So I'm just kind of pulling the back so that it's a little bit more of like a dome shape. But I think that looked good. So now, all we have to do is we can take both of these lids and we can join them, and we'll just rename them lids. And then we can add a mirror. So this is like going backwards now. We're adding a mirror. Boom, it shows up on the other side, and we're good to go. Does he look a little angry? I think he looks cute. So, and of course, if you needed to, you can always like move these things. Like you can still use the move tool, you know, if you wanted to adjust. Just know you can do that. Like maybe I want to have one side a little bit higher. I'm just doing extra stuff. I'm always doing extra stuff. I can't help it. I do apologize. But I can't help trying to make things look the best. Okay, there we go. I like it. I wonder if I want to move this part down. Remember how we moved the other part up? I just want to see what that looks like. Okay, so now let's make the eye, the little irises. I've been waiting to do irises like this for so long. So we tap on the sphere, and we're going to use mask. So right now, if we're using the mask, it's kind of like that. Doesn't really help us out. Let's make it smaller and just see how, oh, it's actually not too terrible. But what we're going to do is we're going to make this a little more higher res. So we need to voxel remesh it. Or maybe we can subdivide. I already taught you guys how to subdivide, so Why does it look the same though? No, it definitely looks better. We'll keep it subdivided. So we'll go here to the pyramid and we'll subdivide. That looks better. Okay, so now we'll take the mask and we just need to make this shape on the eye. So I'm going to do something like this. Try to make it as even and clean as possible. Someone had mentioned about a cuttlefish eye, which I love cuttlefish eyes, but they had mentioned that something else would look good, or like cuttlefish eye would look good. And it's funny because I already had this like sketched out and it had the cuttlefish eyes, which I love. So that looks pretty cool. I like it. So now we want to use the mask tools. So there are some tools here, but there's more up here. So if we tap this, so we have the height or the thickness. So see how it's plus and minus? That means, so plus is coming above the surface and minus is in the back of the surface. So I actually like to, oh, see, now you can see it. You can see exactly what it'll make, which is great. So I like that. Let's do sharp border and take a look. See, now it's much sharper. But I think all looks better. And if you tap these, then you can see it's just above. If you tap it again, you can see it's underneath. Underneath actually looks, I feel like that might look better. So let's try that. So the height is 0. And let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens if I extract, because I honestly don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, but it's too flat. Okay, so I played around with a bunch of settings and this seems like it's the closest to matching the mask. So if we go on the mask, I have the height at plus and minus, and you can see it's at 0.015 and the bottom is at 63. I had the smoothness set to 10 because I think when it was set really high, the smoothness, it was making it smooth at the sacrifice of trying to get these lines exactly. I have it on all. And now when I go back to extract, then I think it looks pretty good. And I don't feel like I need to do much to it. But you want to make sure you go to the eyeball and then you hit clear. So you clear the mask. And it actually looks really good. I'm happy with it. You have to be careful with something like this because if you just try to smooth it, you might lose. Actually, it's not too bad. Actually, you can smooth it, yeah. It's not too terrible. So now I think the eyes look really good. And you can use the mask is so useful. I use it all the time. But sometimes you do have to play around with it until you get it to be where you want. Okay, so if you can hang with me, we're going to make this mouth. Now, this is going to be intense. It's a little complicated, but I think you can do it. You've been doing my crash courses, and as long as you can understand the essentials of what I'm doing, I think you can work it out. So to make this mouth, I want the bottom part to be a different color than the top half. So you know that I don't always like to just color things different colors. I like them to be separate meshes. So what I'm going to do is, so we have the body, and we want to make this mouth kind of shape. So let's kind of do a sketch. So let's use crease. It doesn't have to be that big, 40 something. So we'll just use crease. We're on the body. And I'm going to start with his little butt. Maybe right there. And we're just going to draw like a little crease going up to the leg. And we'll just pretend that it's behind the leg. And now we need to make this shape in the front. So if you look, the middle part is going up. So maybe we'll start around here. And we'll just do one little triangle. And then we'll do another one here. Then we'll come down. And then maybe we'll come like this. Go around. And this will link back up to that other crease. So now we have a crease. So you can make this obviously any shape that you want. If you want to adjust it a little bit so it's just coming straight down. I might like that a little bit more. I don't know, but you can do it any way that you want. So once you have your template there, now what we want to do is, oh, and of course you can always just paint this another color and be done with it. But you know me, I like to get a little crazy. So we have the body, and what we're going to do is take one body and we're going to trim the bottom half, another body, and trim the top half. That way we have this section and the top section. Simple. So let's take the body and clone it. And let's rename the body 1 to body low. Or let's just name it body B. Sounds like a rap song. And this one will be body A. Okay, so let's hide body A. So body B is for bottom. So we're going to trim the whole top half of this. So let's use trim. And we'll use lasso. Okay, you can twist it any way you need to twist it. So we're going to trim anything we trim is going to go all the way through to the other side. So let's just start here. We'll trim along there, and let's just cut off this bottom half. But we forgot. Oh, I always do that. Even when I practiced this, I did that. I hit it and then it stayed on that layer when I want it to be on this layer. Let me just make sure. Oh, no, it's fine. So you want to make sure that you're on body B. It never fails. So you want to use lasso, and now we're just going to trim. Oh, I don't like where I trimmed it. I need to trim it a little bit lower. Like that, and we're just going to trim off this whole bottom half, and now we have that bottom half. Okay, looks good. So let's go ahead and trim this part. So we can just kind of trim up. We can trim the rest of this. We can trim the rest of the head. So now we'll turn it to this side, and now we can just trim this. So let's start here. We'll trim this down. And we can just, oh, there you go. Perfect. Trim this a little bit. Okay, so now that's trimmed. So we have the bottom half. It's looking good. We can hide the bottom half and bring on the top half. So now let's bring back body A, and we just need to trim the bottom. So let's make sure that we hide. Let's rename body B, and let's hide it, and let's make sure that we're on body A. So now we can use trim, and we can do the same exact thing, except we'll be trimming the bottom part. So we'll just do it. I want to make sure that it's not like bent or something. I just want to make it kind of straight. Whoops. Make sure I'm on the body A. So we'll trim the bottom part with lasso, as close as you can get. So we'll stop there. Looks pretty good. And for this part, I'm going to tilt it a little bit because I don't want, if I cut it like this, then it's going to go all the way through. So I don't really want that. So I'm going to put it on an angle and trim the bottom away that way. Oh, that's good, but you have to be careful. Okay, that looks good. See how this went all the way deep, but that's going to be covered, so that's fine. Only problem is this little bit here. Make sure we trim that. That looks good. So I'll do a quick save. So now we have body B and body A, and let's voxel remesh them because we need to recalculate. Anytime I use trim, I just need to recalculate everything. So we'll take the top, voxel remesh 175 should be good, and then I'm just going to smooth out these little mouth area. I'll smooth the whole thing out actually. We'll take the bottom half, voxel remesh it, the same thing, around 175 or so, and then we'll smooth out this bottom half. Okay, and we can see that it looks a little funny, so let's just take move. And now we can move the bottom half like wherever we need pretty much. So I might want to puff it out a little bit, push it up. You can tap on the body, and then you can also you know, adjust it from there as well. So we'll pull this in a little bit. So we have something like that. So now we have the little mouth. This needs to be like puffed out a bit, I think. Actually, maybe a smidge. I think that's cute. You can also use drag for a little more precise movements. So I'm going to kind of drag this up a little bit. Take this and kind of drag it up. Okay, so there's one thing is he has these little end things. So I think I might want to make him like smiling or something like that. Maybe. Take move and move this up too. Looks pretty good. So I'm trying to think of how I would make him smiling. So smiling is really all about the cheeks. So I'm going to use clay and I'm just going to add some cheeks here. So we add some cheeks here. Looks pretty cute. Let's smooth them. I'm going to smooth them nice and gently though, because I don't want to lose most of that mass. Okay, I think that's good. And I actually want to voxel remesh the eyelids and everything to the face, or to the head. Oh, let's go ahead and fix this first though. We got to fix this bottom part of the mesh. So we'll just kind of spread this out with the move tool. We can take the top, and you just want it to look more look natural. Smoothing the bottom part looks much better, but there's a little too, I want it to be a little bit smoother of a transition, so I'll just push this up so it's kind of going into the bottom part, and that looks much better. Okay. Okay, so do we want the, I think I want the arms to be attached to the body. So what we'll do is, let's take the body. So this mesh is body A. So we want to take the lids. So let's find the lids. Here's the lids. So let's validate and join children. So now this mirror is the lids. This mesh is the body. Let's go ahead and join those and just rename it body so we don't get confused. I don't know why these sculpts turn into such complicated sculpts. I don't mean them to. I really don't. So now that's together. And now for the legs, let's take the legs and validate. Yes. Let's take a look at the numbers. Okay. So the legs and the body and all that, I think we want to put that together. So let's just let me do a quick save. And we'll just voxel remesh them together. Maybe around 175. We'll do 180. 180 feels good. Okay, so now this is together. So I'm going to take smooth and just kind of gently smooth all this. Looks good. It looks a little bit more natural. We did lose some detail on the edges of these eyes. So what I like to do in that case is take pinch, maybe around like 110 or so. And I like to pinch the edges back together. Whoop, I wasn't on the body. Make it a little bit bigger. So I just want to pinch this. Oh, pinch is actually a little funny on this, on 1.90. I probably have to change some settings, but I guess it's pinching pretty good. But I like it. It makes it look much more clean with that pinch. I don't know why this came out so kind of bubbly on the end. It's very odd. Okay, so that looks, it looks decent. I'm gonna actually smooth it a little bit. I think smooth sometimes just helps it look a little bit more natural. Okay, I think that looks good. So now we have this part here, which I'm going to use crease, and I'm just going to use crease to make like a crease up to this like little piece here. I'm going to add another crease here to kind of show like, that it's the eye and make it separate from the cheek. So I'm going to dig that crease in a little bit, which I like. And I'm going to voxel remesh the whole thing at like 200. Just kind of solidify it up a little bit. So we'll smooth that. I'm going to smooth all this. Oh, I forgot I put the legs on there too. So let's smooth out the legs. Okay, it looks good. So the only part I have an issue with is this mouth part here. I don't like that space there. So on the body, I'm going to try to like get rid of that space. And I want this to be a little bit more round. So I'm going to try to move the body from the sharpness of his little jaw. And then I'm going to take drag, because drag is a little more acute, and then I can kind of drag that bit up so it's a little bit more, it's a little bit sharper. So it just looks a little bit sharper on the edge, but I like that. And here's another cool trick. You can take crease, invert, we'll make it small. So instead of doing a crease kind of inwards, it'll make it outwards. And I don't know how this is going to look, but we can do something like this, which is kind of nice. And we can smooth it just so it looks a little bit more natural. I think I like that, but I think I like it just round is fine. So I'll just smooth it a bit more and keep it nice and round. And I also wanted to try out pinch on these bits. I just wanted to see what would happen if we tried to get like some definition. So I'm just kind of going over just where the clay kind of turns. It actually looks really nice. I'll try it here. I'm not sure if it'll work on the bottom as well. But like I always say, like I like to experiment and just see what you can do, you know? You got to do that. You have to experiment. So now you have some options. And again, you can always go back and like maybe you want to like push this a little bit more together. I like it. Okay, so I mean that just goes to show there's so much you can do, but I think he looks pretty cute. The only issue I have is like these cheekbones, so I might try to do something with those. We'll see. Oh, you know what? There's actually, I think I can use crease. And this is actually going up. So with crease, there's actually a line going up and to the middle here that I didn't do. Maybe it comes off here. Oh, this part. It would have been so nice. We'll do it this way. We don't want to cross over that part. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I like it a lot, and I can crease a little bit deeper here. To give off the illusion of a little bit more depth. And that actually looks nice with this part. And let's just adjust this little bottom jaw a bit. I'll just use smooth, maybe flatten. I just want it to be like straight. It's small, it's like small details, but like I want them to be perfect. Or as perfect as I can get them. There you go, I like that. So it has the illusion of the dark spots there. That makes me feel so much better. I think that looks so much nicer. I like it. There is one last thing that I might want to try. Let's use the tube tool with path. I'm just going to tap on the body. Let's start. Let's do snap. So let's start here. And we'll do. Oh, we have to do it a weird way, don't we? So let's bring it up to that middle point. Let's add one node there. And bring that down. We can add another one here. Okay. And we'll add one here. So we just want to make this, this little mouth area. That looks good. Maybe we need another one. Okay, so that's right in the middle of the crease. And now I'm going to tap this little green button. Now you notice I only did half because I can mirror. Mirror is our friend. So let's make the whole thing smaller, number one. And we need to, let's add another node here so we can link these up so they look nice. Perfect. So let's hit radius. Let's hit radius again. So now we can edit any of these nodes. And what's good about that is we can, let's add a node here. Let's make the end node really small and make this node a little bit bigger. Maybe make this one a little bit smaller as well. So let's take it off of snap. And now we can push it a little bit into the little crevice a little bit more. If you have snap on, you will not be able to push it into the crevice at all. For example, this last one, I'll push it into that crevice so then it has like a natural kind of fall off point. Make this a little bit fatter. Move these around. Okay, I think everything else looks good. You can move them in move it in a little bit. But honestly, I think it all looks pretty good. So now we have like something to make the mouth pop a little bit more. We can go ahead and validate. Now let's go to this tube and validate the mirror. So we'll hit yes, and we'll just name this lips. So now we have body, body B. Let's go ahead and bring that up. We'll name this body A again. Body A, eyes. Yeah, everything else looks pretty good. I don't know what else I wanted to do with this little rascal. But I like him. Let's bring the floor back. Okay. See his little legs. Let's trim. So I'm going to use the body and just, let's use the rectangle and just trim the bottom part. So I'll trim it there. You can hit solo. Maybe you want to give them a little smooth. Okay, so now they're a little more smooth. It's for all my 3D printing folks. Okay, it looks good. Let's do a quick save. So we'll just give it a quick lighting job. Let's actually pose it like the creature. So let's pose it like this. I'm going to pose it right in the middle. like so. I'm going to save this view, add view, and we'll name this 3. And we'll do a quick save again. Hide this. Okay, so now we'll go back to, wait, where are we? Let's hit, what are we doing? Just make sure everything is, okay, everything's good. Let's delete this box. Oh, that was my little cube. I don't think I'm going to use it. So let's go back to the material tab, or no, the shading tab, change Metcap to lit PBR. And I like to change it to a neutral color. So we'll go to this little sphere down here. Oops. It'll bring up the paint box. It should be on the bottom. If you're on your phone, it might be like hard to find. So we'll tap the colors, and you could just choose like an orange color. I have a specific color that I like. Oh, I forgot to select everything. So let's select everything, and then go back to the paint, paint it, paint all. Perfect. Let's bring back our little box. We'll keep him in the mix. I don't know why, but we'll keep him in the mix. So let's make him level with like the floor. And we'll tilt it a little bit. So he's got his little box there with him. That's fine. So we'll do 3 again. So now we just need to color him. Oh, let's light him first. So we'll turn off the environment. So we're in this lighting tab now. We'll turn off the environment. Should be black. We'll add our first light. I love adding the first light. So much fun. I always put this to 2. Okay, so it's fairly bright. You can't see with that lighting thing. I wish it would go. I wish I could move this. It's what ruins my videos. So I'll move that down, and then I'll just add this view as well. Okay, so that looks good. So let's add another light. So this will be the key light. This is our main light. We'll clone it. This will be our rim light. So we'll tap on this little pencil, just name it rim. So let's, the little hidden gizmo. So let's move the light over here, and let's rotate it. So this little white arrow, that's where the light is pointing. So we want it right on the edge, making a nice, beautiful, bright rim light. Maybe coming downwards is nice. Beautiful. So let's put this to like 5. Okay, looks good. So let's add another light, and we'll just call this light R2. Why not? It's on the right as well. And this is going to be another supplementary light that just hits this half of him, but not like another rim light, just like a little bit more than a rim light. Something like that. Maybe it's coming. I think that's pretty good. So we'll do something like that. Maybe we'll color it. Maybe we'll color it like a blue color. Like so. Maybe we'll make the rim light a more warm color. Or even like a reddish color or an orangish reddish color. No, that's a little bit too. I never use like pink or anything for my lights. Let's use a pink. Okay, so a nice pink color over there. And now we have another light. So let's add our last light. Let's tap the 3 dots. We'll call it a spotlight. And we want to highlight like this, the part that's showing. So let's move it up. And let's kind of put it like in front of him, but pointed down. Let's go back to our view. So that's actually pretty nice. It's just like coming down, and it's sort of highlighting the front part. Let's put it off to the side so we're not getting the shadow from that antenna. So maybe you're like right around there. And you can play around with it, but I like that it highlights that eye. So let's go back to our view. That looks really nice. And we can go back to the environment and turn that on. but you're gonna have to scroll down and turn down the exposure because it's gonna be too bright. So I like my sculpts pretty dark though. I'm gonna turn it off for now. Let's go to post-process. So I'm gonna turn the quality up. I'm gonna turn post-process on. It looks beautiful. Global illumination, I love it. Ambient occlusion, you can mess with these. This kind of changes like how the shadows and things like that. So I'll turn this down so it's a little bit brighter underneath. I love that. You can play with all these until you get to what you like. I'm not really going to use depth of field. And bloom is good if you have to adjust it so it doesn't look crazy. But also I have one that I always use, DFD2. So I'm just going to put mine there. And here are my settings for that. If you want to check them out, you can just hit pause. And my screen just dimmed. I hate that. I must have had the screen up pretty bright. But I think that looks fantastic, so I'm going to do a quick save. And you know what? This needs to be somewhere else, though. Because it's taking away from... We'll just have it there. That looks good. Oh, it's so dark. Okay, so now we can color him. I'm not sure what colors I want to make him. Oh, I already made a creature that color though, recently. I still like that color. Let's turn on the environment. It's a little dark. So we'll turn on the environment a bit. And maybe we'll turn our key light up a little bit too. So it's a nice little balancing act. The bottom part, maybe we want like a white color. This, maybe we can do it like a really dark brown, I'm thinking, or even just black. Black is kind of nice because it'll give the illusion of depth. The eyes, we can do the same color, super rough. The pupils, and then these eyes we can do like maybe we'll do like a greenish blue or like a blue. I don't know. Make it glossy. I don't know if we want any metalness. Probably not. Kind of like that color. I kind of like the little bit of a... I think I'm feeling that color. So we'll paint, we'll match this. Maybe we'll match this. I like it. We'll get rid of the reference image. We'll post him or her in the middle. And we'll save this view. 5. Do we have, we have the environment on. Do I want it on? Do I want to keep it on? Yeah, I'll keep it on. And I feel like it's it's not really warm. So I'm going to take the key light and maybe make it a little warmer. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. I'll do a quick save. I like it. Oh, and the background color, we tap here and we can change the background color if we want. So we can either do something like that, or we can do something like a different color. I think I like the other color better. I don't remember what color that was. I can also do like a pink. That's kind of an interesting color combo. I think I kind of like it. So yeah, there we go. And if you want to do a turntable, just tap this little Nomad here. I like to do 0, 0, 0, and then just hit the turntable, and then we are good to go. I love him. Absolutely love him. So hopefully that was useful. Let me know what you think. Oh, what is this little like jitter thing? What is that? What's up with that? Oh, it went away. Okay. All right. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. This one got so long. Okay, I forgot the last trick. So if you want to make it even more realistic, let me turn all the bells and whistles back on. If you want to make it even more realistic, then you like tap on the skin and then change from opaque to subsurface. And you may want to bring it down a little bit. If it's up, then it'll look too like see-through, but you want to put it down a little bit, and then it just gives it this nice little like, makes it look way more realistic, and I love it. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to mention. So subsurface gives it that extra little. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.